All right, I think we're live now. This is going to be super informal. I forgot to do the intro, but... All right, if anyone's joining us, give Kyle and I a second here. See if we are doing this correctly. All right, we are live. So Kyle, let's see if we can take a look at the reflectivity value. So first of all, hello everybody. Kyle, we can get you in screen.
Oh yes.
We just wanted to do a quick update with you. We're getting our streaming desk set up here. Just wanted to give everybody a quick update here. We're not as professional on the desk as Diane is. She's still our teacher. But anyway, we did want to give a quick update here on exactly what is going on tonight. So we did have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for Roscommon and Ogemaw County, and one of the reasons that we were keeping tabs on that storm was for the fact that it did have what we call a tornado possible tag. And what that tornado possible tag means is that the storm is showing signs of rotation. It's not necessarily rotating enough to where the National Weather Service says, hey, that's a tornado happening. But that warning has since gone away.
Yep.
But just the fact that we even had that tonight, Kyle and I at least wanted to make mention of that. We wanted to at least let you know that we're here in the studio watching. I was driving in. Kyle, you were watching that storm, and probably for what, maybe 5 minutes, kind of looked like there might have been a chance of something.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been talking about, for a couple of days here is how most of this severe weather activity was going to be, late at night, and it was going to be kind of weakening as it's moved in. And that's exactly what we've seen here in the last 20 minutes. But there was a short window where these storms certainly were a little bit stronger. I'd pull that radar back up for you here. Essentially what we're seeing now is a weaker storm, but just about 10 or 15 minutes ago, there was a short window where we certainly did have a storm that did have rotation on it. And if you kind of look towards West Branch there, you can almost see a hooking motion in the reflectivity there, which shows that there was rotation in the storm. That's why we had that tornado possible tag on this from the Weather Service. That severe thunderstorm warning has now been canceled as the storm has weakened some. There's still some heavy rain and some lightning in this. We also have the chance for some gusty winds still, but that rotation has certainly weakened at this time. We can actually look at that rotation here.
Yeah.
And what you'll notice is that we do have some reds and greens that were closer together a few minutes ago, but now we don't really see nearly as much of that, and the reds and greens are just essentially showing us winds kind of moving in different directions. And we had that certainly in place right back here. When this is back just to the south and to the east of Houghton Lake, you can see that we have this area of rotation here at this time. This is what we are keeping an eye on. This is why that severe thunderstorm warning came out with the tornado possible tag. But now we have a much weaker rotation. You really don't see that kind of organization here in the reds and greens. So what that shows us is that we do certainly have some weaker storm rotation at this time, if not almost no rotation. I would probably say at this time, Chris, it does look like the rain has kind of calmed down a little bit with this storm as well. So we certainly have a weakening trend.
Yeah, so even though we want to stress, because we know that we just started the stream just a few moments ago, that there are probably many of you who are going to be joining us. You're going to be hearing us talk about rotation. There is nothing in place right now.
Right.
But what you may have done is gotten a warning to your phone as we've gone through tonight, and with the amount of weather apps that are out there now, even in our last tornado event or severe weather day, someone had said, hey, my Weather Channel app had shown me that a tornado happened. And there are computer programs within apps sometimes that are truthfully meant for forecasters, because it's sort of tools to highlight for us, sort of, not to say that anyone else can't do it, but it's more so you kind of, if you're going to get to that advanced level of an app, you kind of have to know exactly what you're looking at, and sometimes there can be false alarms for those types of things. So we wanted to hop on here anyway, even though that there's no longer a warning that exists, just to clear up any confusion. We were watching that storm. We were concerned concerned about it. Kyle was here, and then I drove in just to be sure. But if you are just joining us right now, that warning has since gone away, but there's still some heavier rain coming through. There's still some lightning coming through. So we figured we'd at least hop on and at least tell you that everything is safe right now. And I would say this storm, Kyle, sort of ever since we were talking at around 11:30, this storm that had the warning was sort of the outlier of the event.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and you know, we've been talking about that greatest severe weather threat will be further to our north, and it'll be kind of dropping down into mid-Michigan as we go throughout the overnight hours and slowing down. This view that you have right there kind of zoomed out across mid-Michigan, there's no rain in the Thumb, there's nothing towards Flint, there's nothing in the Tri-Cities, it's all further up north, and it's this particular storm way up north here in parts of West Branch, just to the north of Gladwin as well. This was just to the south of Houghton Lake earlier. This particular storm did have some suspicious parts to it at a time, and now we're seeing that the storm is weakened, and again, as it continues to move further to the south, down towards places like the Tri-Cities, we should have some weakening of this system as it continues to move south, and so that's what we're keeping an eye on here. Again, you can see how far north those storms are right now. It's just some heavy rain in here. We'll have some lightning with this. We could have some small hail. Chris, earlier tonight, before these storms entered mid-Michigan, we did have some reports of an inch to even up to 2-inch hail, so they certainly have been busy for us, but now we're seeing a weakening trend. Again, we'll zoom this back in here. It's still quite far away from the Tri-Cities and the Bay Area at this time, and again, it certainly has weakened in the last probably about 15 minutes now.
Yep, and the one thing that we're watching, it's certainly not the worst that I've ever seen, but once we start seeing these formations right here, I'm just going to draw this line. Usually those are indicative of more of a straight line wind threat. If anything at all, we call it a bow echo, and it looks like it's starting when you get one part of that storm that starts sort of pushing out ahead of the other. That's when we're looking for maybe some strong winds out ahead of that storm. And what we also have to watch for sometimes, I'm not saying it's necessarily happening with this storm, is we also have to watch sort of the top of that storm to see if anything sort of circles back around. We haven't seen that up to this point yet, but it's something that we'll just make sure that we're definitely sure of that before we end this stream. Here's a bigger picture, because we know we've got more than just our northern counties watching tonight. Our expectation, and if you heard us just talking a few moments ago, this warning was sort of the outlier. At the 11 o'clock newscast and towards the end of it, the weather team was talking, and it looked like everything had kind of settled down. Our expectation, even going back into Thursday, was really that we expected sort of the best potential for severe weather to be sort of in our counties to the north, and then as it worked its way to the south, as it got later into the night, we expected sort of a weakening trend as we typically see with severe weather, and that appeared to be happening at 11:30, and then it was just this one little section, and it was a storm that came in just west of Clare County. Actually looked impressive there for a moment.
Yes, it did.
Once it got into Clare County, it sort of weakened a little bit, and then it all of a sudden just started coming back up again. So we'll watch just to make sure. I think now, as this kind of sinks a little bit further to the south, and we're at 1:14 in the morning, which is usually not a great time for severe weather for us. I think we're probably going to see that continue. And especially it doesn't look as intense as it did. So that's a good sign as well. So Kyle, if you want to add something, I'll see if we've got any comments. Melissa, before you do, says she's in hail. And the thunder and lightning is moving in pretty good now.
Yeah, so this is kind of what we had expected this, how we expect this night to turn out, just the thunder, just some heavy rain, and that is essentially what has happened, except for that brief few moments where one of these storms started to get very suspicious on radar with the chance for maybe some tightening of rotation. Again, that is past now, and I would say what we have out there right now, Chris, and I'll pull this back
Yep.
up here. This is essentially what I would have expected this to look like for us now at this point, and we'll put this on a loop here. What you can essentially see here is the weakening of that happening within the last 10
Yep.
minutes and sinking to the south. So, folks north of the Tri-Cities, I've been saying the northern third of mid-Michigan tonight has the best chance for some of those heavier storms and some
Yep.
lightning. And I really do think that, in general, that severe weather threat is going to continue to drop as we
Yeah.
go through the next couple of hours.
Yeah, and as it drops to the south, we have what we call, in scientific terms, we have what we call SIN, which is basically just a more stable air mass. It's less conducive for storms to keep on going. They stop being the Energizer Bunny typically in those types of environments. So as those storms come to the south, where some of that is, we expect things to sort of level off here through the night. The one report that seems to be consistent in the comments here is we're getting a good amount of lightning,
Yes.
which we have been pretty much since this event started. Here's the latest severe weather outlook. It says today, but that goes through. This is pretty much what we've been dealing with all afternoon. Notice the area that it cuts off is that area that's just to the south of the Midland region. That's where we have a lot of that stable air. And so that's kind of where we expect things to sort of drop off a little bit. I wouldn't even be surprised if it drops off a little bit closer to maybe, say, based on the way it looks now, sort of the southern end of Gladwin County and going into Midland in Mount Pleasant, Midland and Isabella County there. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and this is exactly how the hour by hour has looked pretty much all afternoon and evening here for us, where we have this line of storms starting to enter places like Isabella, Midland County, maybe even Northern Bay, and maybe last for a couple more hours, then it simply just fades away again as we're starting to see a less favorable environment for those storms. And this is 3 a.m. here on the clock here on your hour by hour, so we're starting to see that dissipate at this point. And then as we go through the rest of the morning, we do have improving conditions out there. So that's essentially what we have right now as far as what we've been keeping an eye on. And again, the stronger storm that we were watching has since weakened considerably. Now it is just maybe a few pockets of heavy rain and some lightning. There might not even be as big of a punch of wind with this anymore at this point. So certainly looking up.
Did get a report from Gail Will. Gail, thanks for saying that Buttman Township, strong winds and hail.
Okay.
And then also someone asked, is this the same weather that Oklahoma's getting? It's pretty much a part of the same system.
Yeah.
It's a very extensive system. Kyle, I think you had a Sky Tracker view.
Oh, yeah, yes.
That we can show. We're not getting the same scale of weather they are, of course, but you can see just how broad this is.
Oh, my gosh.
I think you sent me a text message earlier that said this extends 1,800 miles.
Yes,
or something
so from
like that.
it kind of extends the very northern part, right underneath the date timestamp on the Sky Tracker here, from central Ontario down through Michigan into Wisconsin, all the way down to just several miles north of the Mexican border. It's all associated with itself, though there are certainly varying degrees of how significant that severe weather is. Oklahoma, far more significant severe weather ongoing at this time. All those yellow boxes there, those are tornado watches that are in place right now. There are numerous tornadoes even ongoing at this moment in Oklahoma. Thankfully, we do not have any of that ongoing here in mid-Michigan. Again, we're just kind of keeping an eye on some of the storms that were a little stronger at times earlier, and they have now since weakened quite a bit as they're continuing to drift to the south.
We don't have the our producers screaming in our ear about time. Kyle and I can kind of geek out a little bit with the radar. That's what we like about this desk, is we're able to have no time limits here, but this is sort of a time lapse of this storm. I've backed it up around the last hour or so.
You really see the reds drop off there.
And you can see the intensity drop off. This was at about 1240, and then if you notice all the way up until about now, it's trended from more of those darker shades of red into more of the shades of yellow. Now, there is still some lightning in there.
Absolutely.
Anywhere you see one of these little plus signs, we've got what we call positive lightning strikes, and those tend to be your more violent lightning strikes. They tend to be a little bit louder. So if you're hearing some good thunder, if you're hearing some good lightning, that is definitely what you're probably hearing tonight. And let's see if we can go back to our storm relative velocity for APX. There it is. And we'll show you just again, we want to stress that this isn't happening now. This is just why I decided to come back into the office tonight, and why we're on this stream is this storm going back just to the west of Roscommon County. You can see that we did have some rotation with this storm as it moved off. That triggered a warning, and then there were times where it seemed like, okay, maybe not, and then it started to come back up again, but then it really started to die off, especially towards Ogemaw County. So we are no longer concerned about that. There's no eye-opening rotation here
I wouldn't say so.
at this point. So it's we feel that conditions, at least for the moment, are relatively safe, and as long as things continue on the path that they're on, we should be in pretty good shape for the rest of the night.
Yeah, it certainly looks like places that could see some heavy rain here shortly, anywhere in Clare County and Isabella County here as well. So there's certainly some nice lightning that'll be headed towards Wieldman, village of Lake Isabella, Farwell here shortly. Some heavy rain as well. And it's not impossible also that we rule out some small hail in there at times, but that seems to be the extent of what these storms are doing right now.
And Jocelyn did a good job correcting me, because I said, you hear those lightning strikes. You hear the thunder. So Jocelyn, it
is 1:20 in the morning.
It is 1:20 in the morning. So I'm gonna call that right there and say that that's the reason for that. But very good, Jocelyn. You are absolutely correct. The positive lightning strikes lead to the loud thunder that you can hear. So thank you for keeping us on track.
Yes.
But overall, we'll see if anyone has any more questions here, and
again, I'll add at the moment here the Tri-Cities, the Thumb, Flint, Owasso, Lapeer, essentially everybody near and south of the Saginaw Bay. There's still nothing moving through this area right now. So if you're kind of anywhere near or below the bay at this time, we don't have anything to worry about here for probably on the order of a couple of hours. If not, once you get south of the bay, more than likely we won't see any rain tonight. So we're of course going to keep a close eye on this, but it will likely continue to weaken as it gets sort of the Tri-Cities. Yeah.
So just a lot of questions here about what I can expect in my town a little bit later tonight. You're going to see these storms dive to the south. They'll likely dissipate a little bit as they do. So as far as areas like Flint, these might not even make it to you at all. I would say there's a decent chance we could get at least something into the Tri-Cities and Bay region, whether it's going to be anything close to what it is now by the time it gets there.
We could pull up the hour by hour too to show this a little bit here.
Yep, and Jason and Lori Brown just commented. They've been commenting on my Facebook page tonight about Ogemaw County. Ogemaw County did have that warning briefly. You are no longer in a warning. It was just that storm that sort of decided that this night wasn't going to be over just yet.
Absolutely.
But the rest of the storms here seem to be following expectations pretty well. Jason and Lori, lots of lightning. So that seems to be the trend tonight, is a lot of lightning.
Absolutely. And as far as if you're trying to figure out maybe what's in store for you for the night to come, again, we can take a look at the hour by hour here and notice where we're starting. This is at 1 a.m. This is pretty close to where the storms actually are right now. Notice how far north these storms are relative to places like Flint and Owasso. They're very far away. And we'll zoom this ahead here real quick and watch how these storms start to disappear for places like Clare, Mount Pleasant, Gladwin, Midland. You'll notice there are a few sprinkles that do try to make it down into mid-Michigan here at this point, but look at them fizzle as we go to 3 a.m. So places, around the Tri-Cities, around the Bay, over towards Clare, anywhere in here, it is still possible that we certainly have a few sprinkles or a late shower that moves through, but if you're below that, places like Flint, notice how almost entirely dry through the overnight, for the rest of the overnight period here, before we do pick up some more shower and storm chances as we go into tomorrow. Notice the time here on the clock, that is 9 a.m. So this is much later into the morning hours than anything that we're talking about right now. So again, that's for your Sunday. We'll back this up one more time. Notice that those showers and storms are right there at 1 a.m. This is essentially where we're at right now, and through the next couple of hours, these dissipate pretty readily as they move down towards the Tri-Cities. Again, can't rule out a few
Yeah.
sprinkles or something down in the Tri-Cities, but the majority of that stronger, more severe weather is not likely to be a major threat for the rest of mid-Michigan.
So
tonight.
Tina asked about Roscommon. Are you done with the storms? Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
That's moving out of Roscommon County pretty quickly. Morgan Harrington, I joined late. Can you cover tomorrow's weather again for the Lapeer area? It looks like another day of showers tomorrow. I don't think there's we've been focused on Saturday. Kyle, you've done a deeper dive today.
Yes.
Saturday, when I left Friday, looks like showers. Any threat for storms tomorrow, or?
Yeah, so I certainly think that, and this is 10 and 11 a.m. here, so you're noticing maybe a few showers passing through Lapeer here at this point, and this is the case for all of mid-Michigan for tomorrow around this time. I think the mid to late morning will have some passing showers and likely seeing some rumbles of thunder mixed in there as well. And then it does look like we'll probably go into a dry period, and Chris, we'll have some more details to iron out tomorrow because there is some question about where storms will be later in the afternoon, but I do certainly think that we have multiple rounds of showers that will likely move through the day Sunday, though the big thing here is I do think that the severe weather threat tomorrow is quite a bit lower than it was tonight, and that says a lot because tonight's severe weather threat was low in and of itself. So as we go into Sunday, again, some heavy downpours, probably some lightning off and on at times. Certainly expect your Sunday to be a wetter Sunday than it was today for Saturday. So that's essentially what we have for the forecast.
Mikey said, Mikey, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, said something about Oscoda getting some rain, getting lots of rain. I don't know. Forgive us if we mentioned Oscoda. I don't think we've been talking about Oscoda,
Not too much.
but yeah, you're certainly getting rain. So if we misspoke that you weren't getting rain, apologies. We very well could have. Jocelyn corrected us earlier when I said you could hear lightning. So again, it's that 127 in the morning. It's very possible we misspoke. So, Mikey, yes, you are getting rain, but you're not getting severe weather. Amber says this weather gets me on edge because I'm used to tornadoes. Yeah, we had that severe thunderstorm come through with a tornado possible tag, and if you're just joining us, just to explain that one more time before we get off. A tornado possible tag is a severe thunderstorm warning that has a certain wording in it, and all it is pretty much just the fact that a storm may be showing signs of broad rotation or its weak rotation, and it doesn't live up to a tornado warning just yet. But it might be close. So the Weather Service takes it very seriously and not false alarming tornado warnings as much as they can. So that's sort of a way of doing things. And then, let's see, crazy rain and lightning in Lake George. So that would be Clare County. Certainly seeing that too. So, not to cut off any comments here, but just to allow Kyle to maybe get some sleep tonight as these storms come to an end before he's back tomorrow morning. We're going to end the stream right here, and appreciate everybody for getting on and giving us your reports tonight. We will still kind of keep an eye on things, have a way to receive warnings just in case. But as Kyle and I have been mentioning, the warning that popped up for Ogama and Roscommon County, we think is more of the outlier for tonight. So, excuse me, everything else seems to be working its way south as expected. So I'm going to, excuse me, have a cough. We're going to end the stream there, and we'll see you guys later.
Shut us down. Cut us off.